January 19th, 2010. 1:30 p.m. Dubai International Airport. The air conditioning hums at a low frequency, barely audible over the shuffle of 3,000 passengers moving through Terminal 3. A man in a black suit steps off Emirates flight EK912 from Damascus. His passport identifies him as Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, a businessman. This is a lie. His name is Mahmoud al-Mabhouh. He is a founder of the Izz ad-Din al-Qassam brigades. He is the logistical mastermind behind Hamas's weapon supply lines connecting Tehran to the Gaza Strip. He has survived 3 previous assassination attempts. He checks his watch. He is scanning the arrivals hall, looking for anomalies, looking for the faces he's been warned about for 20 years. He sees nothing but tourists. A man in tennis shorts carrying a racket case. A woman in a large hat adjusting her sunglasses. A balding man reading a newspaper near the taxi stand. Al-Mabhouh relaxes his shoulders, just a fraction of an inch. He walks toward the exit, believing he is anonymous. He is wrong. The man in the tennis shorts is not a tourist. The woman in the hat is not on vacation. The man with the newspaper is not reading. They are part of a 27-person hit team deployed by the Institute for Intelligence and Special Operations, known simply as Mossad. At this exact second, Al-Mabhouh has less than 8 hours to live. The trap was not set when he landed. The trap was set the moment he booked his ticket. As he steps into a taxi, a Nokia phone in the pocket of the man with the tennis racket vibrates once. It is a signal. The target is mobile. The hunt in the surveillance capital of the Middle East has begun. To understand why 27 elite agents are risking an international diplomatic catastrophe to kill one man in a neutral country, you must analyze the mechanics of the shadow war between Israel and Iran's proxy networks. Mahmoud al-Mabhouh was not a foot soldier. He was a pipeline. In 1989, he orchestrated the kidnapping and murder of 2 Israeli soldiers, Avi Sasportas and Ilan Saadon. This established his credentials, but his true value to Hamas was logistical genius. For 2 decades, al-Mabhouh built the Philadelphia Corridor smuggling route. He moved Fajr 5 rockets from Iranian factories, through Sudan, up the Red Sea, across the Egyptian desert, and into the tunnels of Rafah. These rockets were the only weapons in the Hamas arsenal capable of striking Tel Aviv. Intelligence reports from late 2009 indicated al-Mabhouh was traveling to Dubai to meet with Iranian Revolutionary Guard contacts to negotiate a new shipment of advanced guidance systems that would upgrade unguided rockets into precision missiles. This crossed a red line. The order came from the highest level of the Israeli government, the Prime Minister's office. The mission code name was Plasma Screen. The objective was absolute elimination. The challenge was the venue. Dubai is not a war zone. It is a fortress of glass and silicon, monitored by over 25,000 CCTV cameras linked to a central command hub. To operate here, Mossad could not use brute force. They had to use invisibility. They had to hack the reality of the city itself. The team that infiltrated Dubai did not arrive together. They trickled in over a period of 19 hours to avoid triggering pattern recognition algorithms used by UAE immigration security. They flew in from Paris, Frankfurt, Rome, and Zurich. They carried passports from the United Kingdom, Ireland, France, Germany, and Australia. These documents were not crude forgeries. They were genuine passports, issued by real governments. But the names on them belonged to dual-citizen Israelis who had no idea their identities had been cloned. The photos were altered, the biometric chips manipulated. One agent, using the alias Kevin Daveron, arrived with an Irish passport. Another, Gail Folliard, also Irish. Peter Elvinger, the logistical commander on the ground, used a French passport. Upon landing, they did not acknowledge each other. They used prepaid burner phones with SIM cards from Austria to communicate. The communication protocol was strict. Short bursts of data, no voice calls. They moved to separate hotels across the city to establish multiple distinct footprints. They rented cars using credit cards issued to shell companies based in the United States. Companies created years in advance for this specific purpose. The level of compartmentalization was absolute. The surveillance teams, known as the Ayin eye squads, did not know the method of execution. The assassination team, the Kidon bayonet unit, did not know the extraction routes of the surveillance team. Only Elvinger, sitting in a command center in a different hotel, held the complete operational picture. Al-Mabhouh's taxi pulls up to the Al-Bustan Rotana Hotel at 3:20 p.m. It is a 5-star luxury hotel near the airport. He enters the lobby. He is tired. He requests a room. The front desk clerk assigns him room 230. This is the first critical variable. The team needed to know his room number before he even entered the elevator. As Al-Mabhouh stands at the desk, a man in a business suit stands near the concierge, appearing to wait for a shuttle. This is an agent. He is wearing glasses equipped with a high-resolution camera or is simply positioned to read lips and documents. He spots the room number on the keycard packet. He texts the number to the command hub. Room 230, second floor. The clock starts ticking faster. Al-Mabhouh takes the elevator up. The agent in the lobby does not follow. Following is amateur. Instead, 2 other agents, Kevin and Gail, are already moving. They are the confirmers. They need to verify he enters the room and leaves it. They take the stairs. They are dressed as tourists, tennis rackets in hand. They walk past room 230 just as Al-Mabhouh swipes his card. They memorize the door mechanism. It is an electronic RFID lock. This is the primary physical obstacle. To kill him quietly, they must enter the room without breaking the door. Al-Mabhouh enters room 230. He locks the door. He places the chain latch across. He checks the room for bugs. He is paranoid, but he is human. He makes a mistake. He assumes the threat is external, that someone will kick down the door. He does not anticipate that the threat will be waiting for him inside the next time he enters. At 4:30 p.m., Al-Mabhouh leaves the hotel. He has a meeting. This is the window. The Kidon team moves in. The operation relies on a specific piece of technology. A device capable of cloning the RFID signal of a hotel keycard or reprogramming the lock's internal computer. The agents wait for the hallway to clear. The Ayin teams are positioned at both ends of the corridor and in the lobby and outside the hotel. They form a concentric ring of surveillance. Kevin stands guard by the elevator. Gail watches the stairwell. 4 agents approach room 230. One of them uses a device that looks like a standard hotel maintenance tool. He inserts it into the lock or holds it near the sensor. The device cycles through codes or exploits a firmware vulnerability in the hotel's security system. The light turns green. The lock disengages. They turn the handle. The chain latch is the next problem. If it is engaged, they cannot enter without noise. But Al-Mabhouh has left. The chain is off. They slip inside. The door clicks shut. The hallway is empty again. The entire breach took less than 12 seconds. Inside room 230, the dynamic shifts from surveillance to preparation. The 4 agents are now in a kill box. They cannot leave until the job is done. If Al-Mabhouh returns with a guest, they have to kill the guest too. If house cleaning knocks, They have to remain silent. They sweep the room. They check for hidden cameras Al-Mabhouh might have set up himself. They check the closet, the bathroom, the space under the bed. They prepare the weapon. It is not a gun. A gun is loud and leaves ballistic evidence. It is not a knife. Blood is messy and DNA rich. The weapon is a syringe containing succinylcholine. This is a neuromuscular blocker. It causes rapid paralysis of the respiratory muscles. The victim cannot breathe. He suffocates while fully conscious, but unable to move a muscle. The drug breaks down quickly in the body, making it difficult to detect in a standard autopsy. It mimics a massive myocardial infarction, a heart attack. The plan is to inject him, wait for death, and then stage the scene to look like natural causes. The agents take their positions, 2 in the bathroom, 2 in the alcove near the entrance. They turn off the lights. They wait. The waiting is the hardest part of Tradecraft. Adrenaline dumps into the bloodstream, but there is no action to burn it off. Heart rates rise. They check their watches. 8 p.m., 8:15 p.m., 8:20 p.m. Al-Mabhouh returns to the Al-Bustan Rotana at 8:24 p.m. The surveillance team in the lobby signals the command hub. Target acquired. Moving to elevator. The signal is relayed to the team inside room 230. They ready the syringe. They put on gloves. They regulate their breathing. Al-Mabhouh exits the elevator on the 2nd floor. He walks down the long corridor. The carpet dampens his footsteps. He reaches room 230. He pulls out his key card. He swipes it. The light turns green. He pushes the door open. He steps into the darkness. He likely senses something is wrong immediately. A shift in air pressure, a smell, a shadow where there shouldn't be one. But human reaction time is 0.2 seconds. The agents are faster. As the door closes behind him, they strike. They grab him from behind. He is a large man, strong, but the element of surprise is overwhelming. There is a brief, violent struggle, muffled by the soundproofing of the luxury hotel room. He is pinned. The needle pierces his skin, likely in the thigh or buttock. The plunger is depressed. The succinylcholine enters his bloodstream. Within 60 seconds, his diaphragm stops contracting. He tries to inhale, but his lungs do not expand. He collapses onto the bed. The agents hold him. They do not speak. They watch his eyes. The panic in them fades as oxygen deprivation sets in. Within minutes, Mahmoud Al-Mabhouh is dead. Now begins the cleaning phase. The agents are not just killers. They are forensic countermeasures experts. They strip Al-Mabhouh of his clothes and dress him in his pajamas. They place him in bed, under the covers. They arrange his limbs to look like he died in his sleep. They place a bottle of heart medication on the nightstand, medicine he actually took, or medicine they planted to support the narrative. They wipe every surface they touched. Door handles, light switches, the bathroom faucet, the remote control. They check the floor for fibers from their own clothes. They check for hairs. They take his phone and documents, but leave his cash to rule out robbery. Then, the most difficult part, the exit. They have to lock the door from the inside to complete the illusion of a natural death in a secured room. They use the chain latch. There are techniques for this, using a piece of string or a specialized tool to slide the chain into the slot from the outside as the door closes. They execute this perfectly. At 8:46 p.m., just 22 minutes after Al-Mabhouh entered the room to die, the 4 agents exit room 230. They walk down the hall. They do not run. They get into the elevator. They leave the hotel. The extraction is rapid. The team disperses immediately. They head to the airport. They do not fly back to Israel. They fly to Hong Kong, to Zurich, to South Africa, to Bangkok. They cross their tracks, switching passports, discarding burner phones and trash cans, changing their appearance in airport bathrooms. By the time the sun rises over Dubai on January 20th, the entire 27-person team is out of the UAE airspace. They have vanished. For 17 hours, Mahmoud al-Mabhouh lies dead in room 230. The "Do Not Disturb" sign hangs on the door. Housekeeping bypasses the room. Finally, his wife, unable to reach him by phone, calls the hotel. Security is alerted. They override the lock. They have to break the chain latch to enter. They find the body. The initial assessment by the hotel doctor is exactly what the Mossad planned: a massive heart attack. There are no signs of trauma, no blood, no struggle. The police are called, but it is a formality. The body is taken to the morgue. Hamas is notified. They begin to mourn a natural death. It seems like the perfect crime. But the Mossad underestimated two things: the paranoia of Hamas and the competence of Lieutenant General Dahi Khalfan Tamim, the chief of the Dubai police. Hamas officials in Damascus are suspicious. Al-Mabhouh was healthy. He was vital. They demand a blood test. The samples are sent to a major toxicology lab in Europe. Some reports say France, others Germany. The results come back showing massive traces of succinylcholine. This changes everything. It is no longer a death. It is a murder. General Tamim orders a total lockdown of the investigation. He summons his best detectives. He turns to the one witness that saw everything: the Dubai CCTV network. This is where the story shifts from an espionage thriller to a technological procedural. The Dubai police do not have fingerprints or DNA, but they have petabytes of video footage. They start with the time of death and work backward. They look at everyone who entered the second-floor corridor of the Al Bustan Rotana. They see the men in tennis shorts. They see the woman in the hat. They track them back to the lobby. They track them to the taxi stand. They pull the taxi records. They find out where they came from. They track them back to the airport arrivals. Then they track them forward again. They see them meeting in different locations. They see the bumps in the hallways, agents brushing past each other to pass messages. They see the coordination. General Tamim assembles a video montage that stuns the world. He releases the footage. It is a 20-minute breakdown of the assassination, shot by shot. The world sees Kevin and Gail in wigs. They see Peter organizing the logistics. They see the agents changing clothes in bathrooms, entering with one outfit and leaving with another. The police identify the passports. They release the names: Kevin Davern, Gail Folliard, Evan Dennings. The media explodes. But then, the second shoe drops. The governments of the UK, Ireland, France, and Australia announce that the passports are fake. Or rather, the passports are real, but the people are not. The real Kevin Daveron is a blameless man living in Tel Aviv. The real Gail Folliard is a British citizen who has never been to Dubai. Mossad had stolen the identities of its own dual citizen residents to conduct the hit. The diplomatic fallout is nuclear. Britain expels the Mossad station chief from London. Australia does the same. France and Germany demand explanations. The perfect assassination has turned into a public relations disaster. The secrecy of the Mossad is shattered. The faces of 27 deep cover agents are plastered on CNN and Al Jazeera. Their careers are over. They can never work undercover again. The operational cost is staggering. Years of training, millions of dollars in logistics, and the integrity of the passport cloning unit, all burned for one target. However, in the cold calculus of intelligence, the mission is a success. Mahmoud al-Mabhouh is dead. The link between the Iranian Quds Force and the Hamas rocket brigades is severed. The flow of advanced weapons to Gaza is disrupted for months, perhaps years. The message is sent. No one is safe. Nowhere is secure. Not even in a 5-star hotel in a neutral country. The agents made it home. The target did not. But the legacy of the Dubai operation is the death of the invisible agent. It proved that in the age of digital biometrics, facial recognition, and ubiquitous surveillance, the classic spy movie tactics of wigs and fake mustaches are obsolete. The Dubai police, using simple rewind buttons and determination, unraveled one of the most sophisticated intelligence operations in history. The Mossad learned a hard lesson. You can kill a man and escape the country, but you cannot escape the digital footprint you leave behind. The cameras never blink, the servers never forget, and every step you take in the modern world is data waiting to be analyzed. The operation in Dubai marked a turning point in the history of espionage. Before 2010, intelligence agencies operated with a degree of physical anonymity that is now impossible. The team that hunted al-Mabhouh relied on the noise of international travel to hide. They believed that among millions of passengers, 27 people would be statistically insignificant. They were wrong because they underestimated the power of correlation. The Dubai police didn't find the agents by looking for killers. They found them by looking for patterns. They noticed that out of thousands of guests, only a specific group used foreign prepaid mobile phones that communicated only with each other and a central Austrian number. They noticed that this specific group paid with cash or specific prepaid cards. They noticed that this group arrived on different flights but hovered in the same lobby. The anomaly detection was manual, but it laid the groundwork for the AI-driven surveillance states we see today. Consider the specific Tradecraft failures that led to the exposure. One of the agents was caught on camera following al-Mabhouh into an elevator. The agent was wearing a tennis outfit but carried no racket. Another agent went into a bathroom to change his disguise, entering as a bald man and exiting with a full head of hair, unaware that a camera was positioned directly outside the bathroom door, capturing both the entry and the exit timestamps. These were human errors, driven by the stress of the operation and the assumption that no one would look that closely unless they were caught red-handed at the scene. They assumed that if they left the country before the body was found, the investigation would be cursory. They banked on the heart attack cover story holding up. When it collapsed, their entire operational security collapsed with it. The sheer scale of the team was also a vulnerability. 27 agents. In the history of assassinations, this is a massive footprint. Usually, a hit team is 2 or 3 people: a driver, a shooter, a lookout. Mossad used 27 because they wanted zero margin for error in the tracking phase. They wanted total coverage. They needed to know exactly where al-Mabhouh was every second of the day. They had teams at the airport, teams at the hotel, teams at the alternate hotels, teams at the shopping malls he might visit. This saturation strategy ensured the kill, but it also ensured the exposure. It created too many data points. If 27 people move in coordination, the statistical probability of that happening by chance is 0. Once the police identified one agent, they simply looked at who that agent was near, or who they looked at, or who they signaled. The thread pulled the whole sweater apart. The aftermath reshaped the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East covert war. Hamas was shaken. They realized their commanders were not safe, even when traveling under false names in friendly territories. They increased their internal security, becoming more insular, more paranoid, and harder to infiltrate. Iran was furious. The loss of al-Mabhouh meant they had to rebuild their smuggling network from scratch. They had to find new trusted couriers, new routes, and new methods to bypass the Israeli naval blockade and the Egyptian border controls. It slowed down the militarization of Gaza, buying Israel time before the next major conflict. For the Mossad, the internal reckoning was severe. Meir Dagan, the director of Mossad at the time, came under immense pressure. He had authorized a high-risk operation that resulted in a tactical win, but a strategic embarrassment. The use of friendly nations' passports strained diplomatic relations to the breaking point. The UK and Australia were not just angry about the forgery. They were angry that their sovereignty had been used as a tool for an extrajudicial killing. It took years to repair the trust between Western intelligence agencies and Israeli intelligence. The Kaidan unit had to completely overhaul its training and doctrine. They had to develop new methods of disguise that went beyond physical props, altering gait, using prosthetic masks that could fool cameras, and developing cyber weapons to blind the surveillance systems they were operating under. The story of the Dubai assassination is a case study in the collision of 20th century spycraft and 21st century technology. It was the last gasp of the Cold War-style hit. Men in hotels with poison needles. The future of assassination, as we have seen since, has moved toward the remote and the robotic. Drones, AI-driven sniper rifles, and cyber warfare targeting infrastructure. If al-Mabhouh were targeted today, it is unlikely 27 people would fly to Dubai. It might be a micro-drone or a hacked autonomous vehicle or a bioagent delivered by an unwitting third party. But in 2010, it was still up to men and women to look the target in the eye. As the dust settled, the details of the room entry became legendary in security circles. The tool used to bypass the lock was likely a programmer unit that reset the lock's memory, making it accept any keycard or a specific master key clone obtained through previous intelligence gathering at the hotel chain. The speed of the operation, 22 minutes from entry to exit, is the benchmark of professional lethality. It implies a rehearsal process that must have been grueling. The agents likely practiced in a replica of the hotel room built in Israel, timing every step, every movement, refining the choreography until it was muscle memory. They knew exactly how many steps from the door to the bed. They knew the tension of the door hinge. They knew the sound the floor made. The medical aspect of the killing remains one of the most chilling details. Succinylcholine is a terrifying way to die. The victim is fully aware. They can hear, see, and feel. They just cannot move or breathe. The panic is internal and absolute. Al-Mabhouh, a man who had sent suicide bombers to blow themselves up in crowded buses, died gasping for air in a silent room, paralyzed by a chemical agent, while 4 strangers watched him fade away. It was a grim, clinical end to a violent life. The Dubai operation also highlighted the role of the Sayanim, the volunteer helpers. While the core team was 27 agents, intelligence experts believe there were others in Dubai who provided logistical support, cars, safe houses, cash, who were never caught on camera and never identified. These local assets are the invisible foundation of any Mossad operation. They remain the ghosts in the machine, the uncounted variables that allow the agents to land and disappear. Ultimately, the assassination of Mahmoud al-Mabhouh is a story of competence and hubris. Competence in the execution of the kill. Hubris in the belief that they could outsmart the digital eye. It is a reminder that in the modern world, there are no shadows left. Every action leaves a trace. Every movement is recorded. And if you look closely enough at the footage, if you rewind the tape, you can see the monsters and the hunters walking among us, disguised as tennis players and tourists, waiting for the elevator doors to open. The file on Mahmoud al-Mabhouh is closed, but the war he fought in continues, evolving, shifting, and claiming new victims in the dark corners of the world, where the cameras are always watching. The intricate planning of the al-Mabhouh hit reveals the astonishing depth of Israeli intelligence preparation. It wasn't just about knowing where he would be. It was about knowing the environment better than the locals. The Mossad architects had to study the al-Bustan Rotana blueprints. They needed to know the shift changes of the security guards. They needed to know the cleaning schedules. They likely had agents stay in the hotel months prior to map the blind spots of the cameras. Though, as it turned out, they missed a few. The psychological profiling of the target was also key. They knew al-Mabhouh felt safe in Dubai. They knew he would travel without a heavy security detail because he didn't want to draw attention to his meeting with the Iranians. They exploited his confidence. They turned his need for secrecy into his vulnerability. Furthermore, the communications discipline of the team was nearly perfect. They used short-range radios for tactical coordination in the hotel, frequencies that wouldn't be picked up by standard scanners. The calls to the command center in Austria were made via eVoIP, voice over IP, routed through multiple servers to mask the origin. The fact that the Dubai police were able to link these calls is a testament to the cooperation they received from Western intelligence agencies later on, or a testament to the sheer brute force of their data analysis. It showed that even encrypted, routed communications create metadata patterns. If 20 phones in 1 square mile all call the same number in Austria within a 4-hour window, that is a beacon, regardless of the encryption. The passports themselves were a masterpiece of document forgery, or rather, document theft. The agents looked like the photos. The names matched the passport numbers. The holograms were authentic. The biometric chips responded correctly to the scanners. This suggests that the Mossad has access to the actual printing machines or the blank booklets of these European nations. Or they have such advanced duplication technology that it is indistinguishable from the state mints. The agents traveled under these identities for years, building up a legend, a history of travel that made them look like legitimate businessmen and tourists. Kevin Daveron didn't just appear in Dubai. His passport likely showed entry stamps from Thailand, New York, and London from previous years, all faked or generated during preparation trips to build credibility. The legacy of the tennis team hit is still studied in intelligence academies worldwide. It is the textbook example of a swarming operation. Unlike the lone wolf attacks, a swarm relies on the collective intelligence of the group. If one agent loses the target, another picks him up. If one extraction route is blocked, another opens. The redundancy is the safety net. But the swarm is also a liability. It creates a target-rich environment for investigators. If the Dubai police had caught just one agent at the airport, the entire network would have rolled up. It was a high-stakes gamble. Israel wagered its diplomatic standing against the life of one arms dealer. They won the pot, but they were banned from the casino. One must also consider the sheer physical stamina required. The agents were in a state of hypervigilance for days. The stress of maintaining a cover identity, remembering to answer to Kevin instead of your real name, remembering to walk with a limp if your cover requires it, remembering not to speak Hebrew even in a whisper, is exhausting. And then, the adrenaline dump of the kill, followed by the forced calm of the exit. To walk through an airport customs line, knowing you have just committed murder, knowing your face is on the CCTV, and to smile at the immigration officer and say, "Thank you," requires a level of sociopathy or compartmentalization that is rare. These agents are not normal soldiers. They are psychological outliers, trained to suppress the most basic human instincts of fear and guilt in service of the mission. In the years since 2010, the silence regarding the operation has only solidified the facts. Israel has never officially admitted to the killing, adhering to its policy of ambiguity. But they haven't denied it with much vigor either. The names of the real agents, the men and women behind the masks of Kevin and Gail, remain a secret. They are likely retired now, living quietly in Tel Aviv or Haifa, perhaps working in private security or tech. They walked down the street unrecognized, carrying the secret of what happened in room 230. They are the ghosts of the Al-Bustan Ratana. But the world knows what they did. And somewhere in a server farm in the desert of the UAE, the video files of their faces are still stored. A digital monument to the day the Mossad got caught, and the day Mahmoud al-Mabhouh ran out of time. The operation serves as a stark reminder of the ruthless pragmatism of statecraft. Borders, laws, and diplomatic norms are merely suggestions when national security is perceived to be at stake. For Israel, the rockets falling on Sderot and Ashkelon were a reality that superseded the sovereignty of the UAE. For the UAE, the violation of their territory was an insult that required a forensic response. For the rest of the world, it was a glimpse into the abyss of the shadow war, a war that has no front lines, no uniforms, and no end. The weapon was a needle, the battlefield was a hotel corridor, and the soldier was a man in tennis shorts. It was banal, it was brutal, and it was brilliant. It was the Dubai operation, and it changed everything.